Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing well out there today. I just wanted to ask, did you guys notice anything about my videos, especially in the beginning? So going forward, you're not going to see any more ads because I chose to demonetize my channel. It just didn't feel right with me trying to, make money off of people if my goal is to truly help people out there. I have a lot of young guys and a lot of people that watch my videos, for career advice and, advice on career change, the labor market, and just, asking people to watch, a 30-second ad every 2 minutes just didn't sit right with me. So hope you guys appreciate that. And if you guys do, all I ask is, just leave a comment. I read through all the comments. It means a lot to me whenever you guys do like my videos and share with somebody if you guys feel like, my videos could help, somebody that you know. All right, so let's get into today's video today. So social media has, changed, the course of our lives, and it's changed this world essentially. But it's done a lot of good, but it's also done so much bad, especially to our youth and the younger generation. Social media will tell you that you can't be happy unless you're a multi-millionaire and you have, what color is your Bugatti and you got sports cars. And it tells a lot of young guys, like, you can't be happy unless you got yachts full of Instagram models, half naked running around, and you're not living life and you're not on my level. And you see a lot of professional athletes like Floyd Mayweather, with the table with $10 million laid out there, like, get on my level, and just, what they call flexing. And you see a lot of rappers with, just bands and bands and racks of money, and just portraying a life that if you don't have, a lot of money, then you're broke, you're an NPC player, you're a nobody in this life. And it's, made a lot of people tie their self-worth to the amount of money that they have, to, luxuries and worldly possessions. And I'm here to tell you guys that there are other ways to get rich in a divine way, ways that will enrich your soul and enrich your life and give you a rich mindset that'll make you happier, or more happier than, being a multi-millionaire and all this money and having luxuries and a supercar. And let me give you guys an example. So when I started truck driving, I had a trainer with me, and we spent a lot of time together for the first 3 months of my driving career. I would sit in the tractor with him all day for 8 to 12 hours a day. So we became really good friends. And towards the end, he invited me to his birthday party. He was turning 50. And he asked, hey, can you come? And I said, yeah, of course. I'll be there. And, I appreciated just everything he did for me. He had a lot of patience, because let me tell you, I needed a lot of training. You're talking to a paper pusher who decided to drive 53-foot, 80,000-pound semi-truck. So I had no idea what I was doing, and I was so appreciative of him taking his time to help me. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll be at your 50th birthday party. And when I went to his party, had the most amazing food. Shout out to you black people, man. Y'all know how to cook, because it was one of the best meals that I've ever had. But towards the end of his birthday party, they had an open mic, and whoever wanted to come up and talk about my trainer could. And there were so many people that got up and stood in line to talk about how much my trainer impacted their life in a positive way. My trainer was a man of faith. So a lot of people talked about how he brought them to Christ, how my friend helped them through their darkest periods in their life. They also talked about his character and about how much of a good man he was. And that moment really changed my life, because I thought, I sat there and I was like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. And then I started thinking about my own life. How many people would stand in line for me and talk, and how many people have I helped, and how many people, can say that I helped them through their darkest time, and I'm here another day, or they're here another day because of me. And it's essentially zero, maybe one or two that I really can't think of. And that moment really changed my life. And I want to ask you guys, who's more rich? My trainer, who helped people in their darkest times, who's a man of character, who's beloved by his community, or a business owner who just finally, after 10 years, made $1 million, but neglected his friends, his family, and worked 14-hour days to, chase that paper. Who's more rich in your opinion? And guys, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, strive to be successful in life. You absolutely should, because as men, we should work as hard as we can to be able to provide for our families, and retire our moms, and make sure our kids have the best life possible. So I'm not saying that, but don't solely just focus on that. Don't tie your worth on the luxury goods that you have. You should strive to also be rich in a divine way, where you're helping others, and you will be way more happier in life when you shift your focus on becoming rich in a godly and divine way. And let me tell you guys another story. So when I moved to Washington, one thing I was very excited about was going snowboarding. I never went, Texas, you don't get snow, you don't see much, it does get cold. But when I first came up here, there was a package deal where you could rent your all the snowboard and your boots, but you also got one free lesson. And I met my trainer, who, gave me that lesson. His name was Noah, and he was a young guy. And, while we spent, the hour or two together, while he's teaching me how to snowboard, we got to talking, and he kind of told me about his life. And for the first 6 months, so his brother was also a teacher, a snowboard teacher there as well. So snowboarding season in Washington goes from about November through April. So about 6 months, him and his brother would come to Washington to teach. And when you teach snowboarding, you get to, use the mountain for free at nighttime and just snowboard all day. And I was like, what else do you do? He's like, he was telling me how for 6 months, he'll teach people how to snowboard and, do what they love every night, snowboard and go night boarding and be out. Man, it's so beautiful, man, when you see all that snow. And the other 6 months of the year, they love whitewater rafting. When you're in like a single boat and you're going down the Grand Rapids. And these two brothers were living life exactly how they wanted to live. They weren't making much money, but they were just making enough that they could live, a life that they wanted to on their own terms. And they weren't rich by any means, but their life was rich. Like I said, half the year they're teaching people how to, kayak and go down these rapids, and they lived in California for Colorado half the year, and the other half they would move, to Washington to teach people how to snowboard. But man, that moment really opened my eyes. Man, these two young guys are living life exactly how they want to, and they're so happy, and you could see how happy they were when you interacted with me. They were just such genuine people. And I want to ask you guys, who's more rich? These two young brothers living life exactly how they want to live, and with excitement and adventure, or the accountant who hates his life. I used to be an accountant, the accountant who hates his life, but making $150,000 a year and $25,000 Christmas bonuses, but miserable and hated life. And just, I was an alcoholic. I drank a lot and partied because I was so miserable. So who's more rich, guys? The two brothers who, that teach snowboarding and kayaking and, travel the world, travel the United States, or the office guy who's pushing paper but miserable at his job but making six figures, guys? Who's more rich, in your opinion? Who's more happy? And I'll end with this story. So the last thing I wanted to say was, when we grow up, while we're growing up as little kids, we all have role models. And one of my role models as I became an adult, if you guys haven't ever seen this sushi documentary, it's called Jiro, Dreams of Sushi. And it's on Netflix. If you guys haven't seen it, I would highly recommend watching it because there's so much wisdom in that documentary. And so if you guys don't know, he's a 90-year-old sushi maker named Jiro, who Japan declared as a national treasure. And if you guys don't know about sushi, you know how you make a little clump of rice and you put the fish on top. So, you're only as good. He was talking about, I'm only as good as the ingredients that I get. So they, in the documentary, they interview the person that he gets his rice from, as well as the person who catches his fish. And when I watched their interview in that documentary, it spoke to my soul. And when I saw that for the first time over 10 years ago, I said those two people are the people that I want to become. Those are the men that I want to become. And what do I mean by that? So they first interviewed the rice grower who Jiro, the sushi guy, the national treasure, got his rice from. And the rice grower is renownedly known as growing the best rice in Asia. And I will never forget when they interviewed him, he was talking about, I only sell my rice to Jiro because he's the only person that knows how to make my rice. And he talked about how the Hilton hotels and all these Sheraton hotels, these huge multi-billion-dollar companies came to him and said, man, if Jiro is using your rice, we would love to buy rice off of you as well for all of our hotels in the world, right? Imagine how much money he would make from selling it to these these international hotel chains. How much money? He'd probably make $1 billion. But he said, no, I will not sell my rice to you because you guys don't know how to make my rice. And it will tarnish my reputation. And I will only sell to Jiro because he's the only one that knows how to make my rice the way it should be. And guys, think about that. Think about that type of mindset, that type of, it's a man that can't be corrupted by money and greed, and how much honor this man has, and how righteous he is, and how pure of heart this man is to do something like that, to not, to decline so much money. He'd be a billionaire if he sold his rice to these large conglomerate hotel chains, but he said no. And going to the person that catches his fish, he also had this type of mindset as well. He said, I only sell the best fish to my clients. If I don't get the best fish, I don't sell it to them. I'll make the phone call and say, hey, I took your money, but I want to refund you because I wasn't able to get you the best fish. And he talks about how in Japan, these fishermen will go out and catch like tuna, for example, and all the fishermen will bring all their fish in to be auctioned off. And these fish buyers will walk around with their flashlights, examine all the fish. And he says, out of all the fish that come in. There can only be one, the best. And if I am outbid and I'm not able to get that one fish the best, I won't buy anything and I won't sell any fish that day. Man, think about that type of mindset. These two men are a rare breed, very rare. These type of people, you can't, it's so hard to find these type of people in this world. And if you see if these people, if God blesses you and these type of people come into your life, hold on to them for dear life, because these people will enrich your life, and you just don't come across these type of people these days. So who's more rich, guys? These two men I talked about, with this type of mindset that can't be corrupted by money or greed, and just, men of honor and righteousness, or the social media influencer who has millions of followers and that's, promotes products on their Instagram page or their YouTube videos that they don't even use, but these brands will come to them, hey, why don't you pretend like you use this energy drink, that probably has a lot of chemicals in it, that's probably not good for a lot of youth, but you know what, you take these pictures, you endorse my brand, we'll give you $1 million. Who's more rich, guys? The fisherman and the rice grower with, that type of mindset, or the social media influencer who made $1 million for posting pictures. And guys, lastly, I really don't like talking about myself. I'm the type of person where, if I had a lot of money, nobody would know. I'm not really into luxury goods or anything like that, but I've done very well for myself. I invested a lot of money when, the Dow Jones was down at 6,600 during the great financial crisis. I've flipped properties, and I've made a lot of money trading commodities. And, having a lot of money, and I could buy a Ferrari tomorrow if I wanted to. But that doesn't make me rich. An electronic device, when I log in and it displays a numeric value, that doesn't make me rich, guys. What makes me rich is the relationship that I have with my very good friends, and the relationship that I have with my wonderful family. What makes me rich is every Sunday at around 8 a.m. my mom texts me how much she loves me, and how proud she is of me. What makes me rich is, every time I look in the mirror, I see a damn good man, a man that's striving to be like the rice grower, a man of honor, and, somebody with a good mindset who can't be corrupted by money or greed. But most importantly, guys, I am rich because, of my faith, and I've inherited his kingdom, guys. So once again, this world will tell you that you can only, you're worthless if you don't have a lot of money. But I'm here to tell you, there's other ways to get rich that'll make you even more happier in a divine way. So hopefully you guys learned something in this video. I know I talked a lot, but thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.